Obviously, they are very anxious to get on with it. Let me go back briefly to our panel again as we await the arrival of Galway out onto the pitch, to DJ Carey and to Babs Keating. DJ, you obviously know a lot about this Offaly team, having played them in the Leinster Championship. They're going to give it a very good crack today, one suspects.
I think so, Michael. I was asking a couple of newspapers during the week what did I think, and I went for Offaly for the simple reason was they played well against us, and people will say, well, was it a flash in the pan or not? But they went out and done the same against Wexford, so they put two very good games behind them. And I think they'll be thereabouts at the finish.
Also, they would make the argument that in other years they lost very narrowly to Kilkenny in championship matches, and you went on to win All-Irelands, so they're not been far away from the pace.
That's true. I mean, that's everyone's argument. If they've gone so close to the All-Ireland champions, which they have for the last 2 years, and we won it for the last 2 years, so they're saying they've beaten the All-Ireland champions now of the last 2 years, so they have the right to go on and win it.
It'll be a very interesting situation, Babs, for Eamon Cregan if Offaly win today, because he'll be coaching a team, of course, against his own county.
And I know exactly what it's like to be in that situation, Michael, because I was with Galway when Galway met Chip in the 1979 league final, and there were times in that game in Limerick that I would have hoped that the ground should open for me. So Eamon, but I think Eamon is strong enough to overcome that. He's made a commitment to Offaly, but I just wonder will they get there.
Well, here are the Galway team and the subs and the rest of the panel coming out onto the field as they line up, Babs, for the traditional photograph. One question for you. Galway at the beginning of the year were being mooted by many people as favourites for the All-Ireland final. A doubt has been put into people's minds now. That doubt was put in by Tipperary in the National League final. How do you rate this Galway team now?
Well, I was one of the guys that would have suggested that Galway should have been favourites and kind of up to the league final. Now, we played exceptionally well in Limerick that day, Michael, but everything that has happened since is even adding more doubts. The injury situation, certainly the challenge game against Antrim, that form doesn't suggest a lot. But having said all that, they're a good team in an All-Ireland semi-final. They have plenty of experience, and I'd be surprised if they committed themselves in a challenge game against Antrim or anybody else at this stage. The only problem I have with Galway is that kind of after last year's under-21 final, they look to have an abundance of players. Now those players aren't even on the programme today, so you have to ask yourself the question about what we thought were good players, and they beat us in February in the league in Nina. All those players were there in February, they're not even on the programme today. So we have to ask the question, where are they, what has happened?
Well, let's look at the players that are on the team and also on the Offaly team, Babs, as we go over to our match commentator, Ger Canning.
Thank you very much indeed. It's a great day for brothers. We're going to start with Galway. Without Sean Tracy at full back, the tribesmen retain Paul Cooney on the fringe of his own square, flanked by the Helibert brothers. And like old times, Pete Finnerty is back at right half, with Nigel Shaughnessy on the opposite wing, thereby allowing Pádraig Kelly to move into midfield in place of the injured Pat Malone. Justin Campbell starts at right half forward, while the man in his corner is Peter Kelly, younger brother of Pádraig. Well, that's the Galway lineup. Joe Rabbit, of course, of Athenry, and he'd been leading the line very much for Galway as they bid to get back into another All-Ireland final against Limerick, of course. And now a check on the Offaly side today, back to full fitness, and back into goal comes Jim Troy. His experience and excellence was the major reason, in spite of the fine Leinster final performance by David Hughes. Two of this year's newcomers play for a third time in the championship, Kevin Kinahan at full back and Kevin Martin at left half. One change in the forward sees Declan Pilkington take the place of hamstring victim Michael Duignan. Two brothers on a team is one thing, but half the Offaly forward line, as you can see, consists of Dooleys. Joe the elder joining Johnny and Billy. And Declan Pilkington here, wearing the number 15, playing today in his 11th championship match. Made his debut, by the way, against Galway in the All-Ireland semi-final back in 1988.
Yes, it's interesting there, just looking at the lineups, DJ Carey, that particularly with the Offaly team, okay, they may not have been Leinster champions for the past 4 years. This may be their first big day back in Croke Park for a while. But Ger pointed out there, but players like Declan Pilkington, there is a lot of experience in that team.
There is. There's an awful lot of experience. There's an awful lot of experience at playing here in Croke Park. We've played against most of them for the last 2 or 3 years. And the vast majority of them have played in minor and under 21 All-Ireland, so there's an awful lot of experience without winning senior All-Ireland medals.
Much has been made about their strength in the half backline, players like Wheelahan, Rigney and so forth. Where would you see their strengths and weaknesses having played against them?
Well, obviously against us, their backline kept our forward line completely out of it. Now, other backlines have done the same thing in the past, but it'll be depending an awful lot on the backline. Midfield, an awful lot as well. But I suppose where they've improved most of all is their forwards this year. You know, they're scoring, they're spreading backs out wide. They're getting a lot of good scores. So, I mean, they have improved all over the field.
One thing that struck us in their performance, particularly against Kilkenny, but also against Wexford, and going back to the backs again, the tenacity with which the backs closed down the play, and even closed down the play at midfield. This is something that it appears Cregan has sort of instilled into them.
Yeah. In fairness, again, in the last couple of years, they have been that way. Now, we've been lucky enough to get a couple of breaks, especially in the last 10 minutes. But this year, we had a number of chances, goal opportunities, and I had a couple myself, but they were closed down very fast. You know, there was no time at all on the ball, and that's what brought them through really against us. I know they were beating us, they were giving us a right at one stage, but we did come back, and it was in the last 5 or 6 minutes is when they really stood out, because we had a number of chances at that stage, and they kept us out. So it's really, they've improved an awful lot in the back line, and especially in the forwards.
Perhaps just quickly looking at some of the Galway players in the selection, and again going to Galway's half-back line. I mean, Pete Finnerty and Jerry McInerney, they're still there in that half-back line as they had been for years and years for Galway. Can they still do it, do you think?
I think they can. You know, I saw Pete Finnerty playing in that challenge game 12 months ago when Tipperary were concerned, and he looked a good player in a challenge game against Antrim, and I couldn't understand why he was left off the team. Now, I know he had his injury problems, but Peter Finnerty is still younger than a lot of the present day players, particularly the players that we saw here in Croke Park this day week, Meath or Dublin. Sure. So, and Jerry McInerney again, you know, they're in the 30, but like, you must imagine and say about Galway, those fellas have very little hurling done, because they're going to worry about hurling on the first Sunday in August, whereas other players have to go through a harder campaign.
Well, I suppose, Babs, that is always the case with Galway. Mind you, it has not affected them unduly in the past at this stage of the competition. They always seem to raise their game for these semi-finals. They're about to go through the parade. While they're doing that, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Years ago, to prove that nothing weathers better than Santex masonry paint, we took one lighthouse and painted it with Santex, and one lighthouse keeper, who we didn't. So there's the proof. For longer lasting good looks, use Santex.
Amazingly, you can get all of the people in the world standing together on the Isle of Wight. You can squeeze 24 people into a mini. And you can get all the fibre you'd find in 9 slices of brown bread, concentrated in a single bowl of Kellogg's All Bran. Kellogg's All Bran, a concentrated fibre provider.
Visit Bunratty Castle and Folk Park in County Clare, voted Ireland's #1 heritage attraction. Enjoy a great day out with the family at Bunratty.
Prize bonds have many advantages. There are hundreds of cash prizes to be won every week, and a jackpot of £100,000 every month. Every prize bond is entered into every draw every week. So the more prize bonds you hold, the more chances you have to win. And because you can always cash them in, you never lose.
See the exclusive range of bathroom suites in PJ Matthews' new showrooms at Ballysimon Road, Limerick. Remember, nobody matches Matthews, the plumbing and heating specialists.
Joe Cooney uses Shan Broadspec to kill roundworm, lungworm, mature and immature fluke in cattle and sheep. Shan Broadspec, the only choice. By Chanel.
When it comes to first-class meat variety and value, James Daverin, your family butcher, Shantala Road, Galway, are a cut above the rest.
For quality farm and industrial buildings in the West and Midlands, contact the experts. That's Garvey's of New Inn. Phone Garvey's at 0905 75823.
JVC TVs, videos, hi-fis and camcorders. Hear and see them for yourself at Power World, Tuam Road, Galway.
For lunch or dinner or a late night snack, you can have a feast at Supermax. Burgers, pizza, chicken or fish, all day long, whatever you wish. It's a family place, but you can go in alone like a home from home. It's Island of. Try it once, you'll keep on coming back for the super value, super meals at Supermax.
Funny looking soap.
Not as funny as you. Anyway, it's not soap. It's Biactol. Helps keep my spots under control.
But you're not spotty.
That's because I use Biactol every day.
But why if you're not spotty?
Because I don't want them back.
But why?
Look, bacteria in the skin cause spots. Biactol kills more bacteria than ordinary soap. In fact, it's twice as effective. Looking good. So could you.
Daily washing with Biactol beats soap at beating spots.
Gillette introduces the next revolution in shaving closeness, microfins. And they're only on the new Sensor Excel. These microfins precede the blades. As Sensor Excel spring-mounted blades adjust to your face, these soft, flexible fins gently stretch your skin so your beard stands up for the closest, most comfortable shave. Get closer than ever before. Get the new Gillette Sensor Excel.
Players then have taken their position around the field. The Artane boys band are coming into position to play the national anthem here at Croke Park. So then, who will join Limerick in the All-Ireland Hurling Final of 1994? Will it be Galway? Will it be Offaly? Let's go over to our match commentator, Ger Canning.
Agus Anish, Don Slua Ekshasov, Agus Auron the Vian. From a very big crowd here at Croke Park, with the new Cusack stand still being constructed away on the far side. Willie Barrett poised and ready to start the second semi-final, the 7th championship meeting of Galway and Offaly. Galway's captain Jerry McInerney, you may have noticed, winning the toss and opting to play from right to left in the first half. Last drink here for Billy Dooley in the corner. It's Kieran's player. Corey Kelly, the number 9, Michael Coleman there on the right-hand side, number 8 for Galway. It's Daithí Regan, who's number 9, and Johnny Pilkington of Byrne, number 8. And so who will it be to face Limerick on the first Sunday in September? Pete Finnerty racing across here to dispossess another veteran player, Joe Dooley. Down towards Michael Hopper-McGrath, marked by 2 Offaly players. And Wheelahan, the last one to knock it clear. Ryan today playing in his 9th championship match. Corey Kelly. First attack then that Galway tried to engineer. Joe Cooney in the thick of the action with Michael McGrath. Peels all around. It's going to be an Offaly ball. Galway today playing in a 74th semi-final, and they've won just 17 with 56 losses so far. Nice cut forward that time by Shane McGuckian. Back towards Wheelahan once again. Friendly little tap there from Joe Cooney. Good full back play here by Paul Cooney, member of the clan but not related to Joe, and that'll be a free down. Christy Helibert here, the free taker just outside his own 45-metre line, getting good distance into it. Johnny Pilkington whipping onto it towards Johnny Dooley. Gets Nigel Shaughnessy. Nigel replacing Micheál Donoghue at left half back. Michael Coleman. Good hand pass delivery down towards Otto McGrath. Couldn't get onto it, however. So no scores so far in a dull opening 2 minutes. Good cut by Brian Wheelahan. Once again it's Christy Helibert out. Long lengthy delivery in towards Joe Rabbit. Great full back play once again by the other man. This time it's Kevin Kinahan. Shane McGuckian keeping that ball in play. And Johnny Pilkington the last one to touch it. The attacks coming from Galway. Pádraig Kelly. Nice ball inside, cut well. Down towards Justin Campbell, whipped away by Brian Wheelham once again. Dáithí Regan just unsettled momentarily. Joe Cooney partly blocked down. Reaches Joe Rabbit. Swinging the stick, batted down once again. And this time it's Martin Hannamy, the Offaly captain, taking it away from Justin Campbell. Joe Dooley. Of the Offaly team since 1984, up towards Declan Pilkington. This time it's Tom Helibert in some trouble, getting assistance there from Pete Finnerty and Nigel Shaughnessy, the number 7. A match which needs a point or two just to settle it down. Johnny Dooley back down. Helibert broken clear out here towards Pádraig Kelly, played so much of his hurling course around the left half back position. Michael McGrath struggling to get clear. Dogged contest so far. Brian Wheelahan just too much. Brendan Kelly, the player who's lifting himself off the ground here, having made the transition from midfield into full forward. Richie Burke today playing in his 6th championship encounter. Nicely blocked down. Taken away by Johnny Pilkington. And as far as Christy Helibert once again. Winning the first couple of balls coming his way between himself and Billy Dooley. Dooley, who's been such a major influence in the Leinster Championship this season. Great distance once again. Joe Rabbit. Just trying to get some latitude here. Trying to engineer the first point of the day. Just over 5 minutes gone. Got the first wide of the match for Galway. Jim Troy. Towards his brother John. Michael Coleman bats it down for Galway instead. Now Johnny Pilkington locating his brother Declan. Nicely infield towards Joe Dooley, runs on to John Troy instead. The hand pass to Dáithí Regan outside the 45-metre line. Looking for the first point, and he's also put it wide. Nervous start. Michael Coleman lets it run on. Joe Cooney. Kevin Kinahan coming out here against Joe Rabbit. Could be quite a battle, that. Martin Hanamy. That's out towards Daithí Regan. Struggling to get away from the two Galway men. One of them, Justin Campbell. John Troy, fresh air puck. Instead it's Galway's captain this year, Jerry McInerney, to Michael Coleman. Kevin Kinahan again back there minding the house, very secure, fetched well, long delivery. Christy Halliburtt over his head this time, on towards Brendan Kelly, trying to get away from Paul Cooney. Johnny Dooley preventing it from going out over the sideline just about, and surrendering it to Nigel Shaughnessy. Tempo of the game just beginning to rise even more in the last minute or so as Joe Rabbit bears down on goal. Out towards Peter Kelly. Kelly, who likes to roam in the Sarsfield's colours, onto Joe Rabbit. Should be a score here, and there is. And Nigel Shaughnessy, the one who set it up initially back at the other end. 7 minutes it's taken to produce that first point. Peter Kelly here just making some room for himself, taking quite a few steps. And then it was in for Joe Rabbit, and after there, the point was located. Meanwhile, back with play, it's Johnny Dooley firing one just outside to the left and wide. He looks most disappointed. 3 wides for Offaly so far, 1 for Galway. Brian Whelan. Johnny Pilkington getting good length into it. Once again the corner back here winning most of the duels for himself and Billy Dooley. Christy Halliburtt. Once again down towards Peter Kelly. Martin Hanamy following him the whole time. Joe Dooley is over there for Offaly, and Pete Finnerty for Galway. Eamon Cregan and Jarlath Cloonan, the respective team coaches. Cregan, of course, hoping to engineer a meeting with his native county in about 4 weeks' time here in the All-Ireland Hurling Final. Crowd strangely silent. Pete Finnerty. Broke it inside there towards Justin Campbell. Coming up the stick of Daithí Regan. Whipped away by Martin Hanamy for Offaly, only as far as Joe Cooney. Cooney across into space here towards Pádraig Kelly. Another match in the All-Ireland final last year and in the club final. That time surrendering it to Daithí Regan. Added to by John Troy to Declan Pilkington. Miss hit. And that's over the sideline. And the linesman across there, who is Ger Harrington from Cork, deciding that it went off Tom Halliburtt. So it's going to be an Offaly ball. Just 1 point so far in 8 or 9 disappointing moments of hurling. Cut in, but only as far as Jerry McInerney. To Michael Coleman, expected to dominate around midfield, fumbling and recovering well. There's a call, I'm sure, from Nigel Shaughnessy on his left-hand side, just ahead is Pádraig Kelly. Liam Burke now, striving to get into this match. That was hit in over the head of Joe Rabbit. Jim Troy, arguably one of the best netminders on the country. A little fumble here for Martin Hanamy. And then the line's cleared, but only as far as Justin Campbell. And Whelan having a quick look over the left shoulder just to see where Pádraig Kelly was. Getting in a long clearance towards Johnny Dooley. And once again it's Christy Halliburtt coming out here. Playing the Championship last year, having played the previous year. Real struggle down there right now. Galway get the decision. Halliburtt here doing the spade work. It's the replay action again of that. Just attempting to get that ball up somehow. And that's where he was upended. Pádraig Kelly from the All-Ireland Club champions Sarsfields. taken up once again by Brian Wheelahan. Such an accomplished player. Joey McInerney watching it, but Joe Dooley coming in his blind side, took it low. Toward Brendan Kelly. It's Paul Cooney. Pete Finnerty in that pile-up, and the referee, Willie Barrett, is going to throw that ball in. Hurling so far really lacking style. Maybe Billy Dooley can do something about that. The pull by Pete Finnerty is penalised. Offaly get the free in and a chance for the equaliser. Pete Finnerty, who of course spent so much of last year's All-Ireland final warming up, finally did come in very late in that game. So here's a gilt-edged chance then for Johnny Dooley. Should be the equaliser. 12 minutes into the first half. Offaly's first score has finally come. Sides are level. And let's hope the game can pick up from here. Hubert Rigney. Michael Coleman having a quick look up to see where the posts were. Swinging one in dangerously. Broken down well by Hopper, and then it's Kevin Kinahan. Johnny Pilkington. There's a little push there. It's Christy Halliburtt once again. Playing very well indeed at left corner back. A little dodge here by Joe Cooney. Johnny Pilkington following him. Nicely across here towards Justin Campbell. Bidding to put Galway back in front again, but not with that puck. Always second wide. So far it's a very dogged contest. Two sides closing one another down very effectively. There's very little room for movement. Offaly just making a switch in their inside forward line. I can tell you what we watch. Full forward and full back. And Declan Pilkington has now gone across. Billy Dooley is top of the left. Here's Joe Dooley. The stick there of Corey Kelly. Back in by Johnny Pilkington. Nicely on towards Brendan Kelly. And the referee again spotting the foul there by Paul Cooney. So Offaly have a chance of going in front here. Tough competitive duel that between Cooney and Kelly. They can only watch, as once again it'll be Johnny Dooley. And this should be the lead for Offaly for the first time. Offaly 2, Galway 1. And just about 14 and a half minutes gone in the first half. Good length once again in that puck out by Richie Burke. Kevin Martin there in some trouble. Out as far as Peter Kelly. And Jim Troy and the umpires were waving that one wide. The younger players in this match just 19 years of age. Troy's puck out, added to there by Daithí Regan, right into the corner. Tom Halliburtt winning the race across there. Now Paul Cooney played it right corner back last year in the championship, playing in place of the injured Sean Tracy. Nicely in that time by Johnny Dooley. Looking for the first point from play for Offaly. He's got it. He's also got all their scores, and he's given them a 3-1 lead. It was a very nice move, worked right across the field. John Troy, the man who set it up for Johnny Dooley, and the number 10 with an unerring finish. Broken down towards Justin Campbell. Once again, Brian Wheelahan winning that battle. Michael Coleman now. The side having fallen 2 points into arrears. Good burst out here by Kevin Martin. And Richie Burke watched that one go harmlessly wide. A shake of the head there by the 21-year-old. Michael Coleman once again fetching at midfield. So often the ball from midfield has gone towards top of the left here, towards Hopper McGrath. This time he wins the free kick, or wins the free. Liam Burke, the player who's come across to take it. Captain of last year's successful under-21 team. So midway through this first half, just a point between them. Corey Kelly there having quite a battle at midfield alongside Michael Coleman. Nigel Shaughnessy coming across here to try and dispossess Johnny Dooley. Hopefully get the decision. Nicely cut up in towards John Troy, runs on instead, and that's ripped there in the end by Declan Pilkington, and it's gone off a Galway defender. It's the game's first 65. Johnny Dooley, who's been taking the frees, coming out to take this 65 as well. Eamon Cregan away in the background. And stylish player, good crisp striker of the goal as well. And now that's 4 points for Offaly and for Johnny Dooley. Justin Campbell jumping here and move to left half forward. Nigel Shaughnessy now, players running ahead of him, over the head of Kevin Martin, runs on towards Martin Hannamy, and Kevin Kinahan once again, played so well in the Leinster final this year. Liam Burke back towards Corey Kelly, just a little bit of uncertainty there. It ends up with a Galway sideline ball. Michael Coleman shaping up to take this one. Through towards Joe Cooney. Picked up here by Daithí Regan. Fine delivery inside to the inside forwards. This time it's Billy Dooley having discarded the black helmet to his brother Joe. And that's a lovely score from Joe Dooley. Playing in his 26th championship match. He makes it 5 points to 2, and Daithí Regan was the one who set it up for him. But that long punt out as far as Billy Dooley, now playing at top of the left, back to brother Joe, and the Dooley's combination results in the score. Michael Coleman again against Daithí Regan. This time it's Pete Finnerty nipping in. Ooh, a hefty shoulder that time from Hubert Rigney. Daithí Regan once again. Outside nicely to Joe Dooley. Towards Declan Pilkington, broken down there. Paul Cooney getting the assistance there of the left corner back, Christy Helibert. Well, his side has a 3-point lead, but I'm sure he's not even thinking about a possible final between Offaly and Limerick. What a match that would be. Joe Dooley preparing to take this one. just going towards the right. Batted down there by Declan Pilkington, but the umpire has signalled that it quite clearly went wide. Still a very tight, very close match. We'll have to see the pyrotechnics in this one, and that went off the back of referee Willie Barrett, and he's going to throw the ball in, having inadvertently interrupted play. Charlie Clunan on the left-hand side there with Tony Regan alongside him, the team trainer. Offaly win that contested ball from the throw. Billy Dooley upended. Offaly get the free in, and no doubt Johnny Dooley will be the one who'll come across and take it. Marvellous contribution that the Dooleys have given to Offaly hurling down the years. And this is his fourth free, 3 points from 3 frees so far, and this to maintain a 100% record and his 5th point of the day. Offaly and Johnny Dooley 6, Galway 2. When you consider that the other Offaly point, the 6th, was from Joe Dooley, you appreciate how much they're contributing on the half-forward line. Joe Cooney now for Nigel Shaughnessy, played in the forwards during the league. Galway needing a lift, needing a score badly. They're tracking was Johnny Pilkington, runs in towards Joe Rabbit. And in the end, it was Shane McGucklin who got it out, but only as far as Michael Hopper-McGrath. And the point they needed has come on the Sarsfield striker. First point of the day. Ball broken out there. Not such a good clearance, but just enough to give Hopper the chance. Jerry McInerney winning his duel there against John Troy. Dividing the fodder from Michael Coleman. Nobody to close him down. And towards Joe Rabbit once again. Direct route being taken by Galway. Kinahan forced him for the foul this time, having won so many of the earlier balls that came down between them. And it's Galway's free. There's Michael Coleman's huge delivery in towards Joe Rabbit. And that's where the full-back had his arms all around him. Can't really argue against that. So this time Liam Burke to get his second pointed free of the day and put just 2 between them. And all of that with 24 minutes gone in the first half. This is the 5th ever semi-final between these counties, and even Stevens so far with 2 wins apiece. Rory Regan has that on to Joe Dooley. Another huge ball delivered in there, well saved by the goalkeeper Richie Burke. Johnny Pilkington now, getting the despairing dive there by Nigel Shaughnessy. Yet another wide. Offaly's 6th of this first half so far, against just 3 for Galway. And Galway have made a switch, incidentally, bringing Nigel Shaughnessy now to midfield and Pádraig Kelly to left half back. That to try and energise their midfield and at the same time get Pádraig Kelly to close down on Johnny Dooley. Hubert Rigney. St. Ryan is against Sarsfield and against many of these Galway players down in Thurles in February in the All-Ireland Club semi-final. The All-Ireland Senior semi-final, and Joe Dooley here against Pete Finnerty. And the foul there by Tom Helibert. Direction, it's going to be the other way. And chopped down by Billy Dooley. Looking at it there again, I think they will have picked that ball as well. It all results in a free to Galway. And the referee having a word with Nigel Shaughnessy, it's going to be an Offaly free. Good use of an elbow there by Nigel Shaughnessy. Brian Wheelahan. Jerry McInerney once again breaking it down. That's it, it's a great goal! And it's John Troy who's got it! At last this game may come to life. Offaly lead by 5 points. Brian Wheelahan's long free. Watch as it was broken down by the stick of Jerry McInerney. And that was just enough for John Troy to come on to. Watch him stealing in here on the left-hand side and away to the far corner. This worth looking at again. Goalkeeper really had very little chance. Away to the far corner. The sheer power carried it in. So Offaly now in a very commanding position. Lead of 5 points. Not a great lead in hurling, but just enough to have their noses in front. And here's the goal scorer, John Troy again. First real shot he had. And he goaled with that. This time winning the free. Younger brother, of course, of Jim Troy, former underage netminder. Brian Wheelahan from Burr. Good ball inside towards Daithí Regan. Touchdown there. Past Brendan Kelly. Billy Dooley was in there trying to dispossess. It's Jerry McInerney for Galway. The shoulder there from Joe Dooley. Enough to dispossess him. And then Declan Pilkington had to be careful that he didn't overcarry. Joe Dooley. In towards Brendan Kelly. Very nearly got a touch on that one. Burke trying to vary his puck out as much as possible. This time opting for that right wing. Peter Kelly now. John Troy. Crisp delivery again towards Declan Pilkington. Giving Christy Helibert a bit more work to do. Helibert trying to stand his ground. Tough and ferocious in there at times. Helibert now. He did well. Picking up with Paul Cooney. Meanwhile, there's an Offaly player on the ground. Brendan Kelly, the injured party. Play continues. Joe Cooney. Towards Peter Kelly's corner. Touched away by Martin Hannon, who's also discarded the helmet. Liam Burke got blocked down there from Kevin Martin. And Brendan Kelly here. The player who's receiving the attention from Dr. Brendan Lee there. Just a clash of bodies just in that last attack there with Christy Helibert. Well, Galway will be very disappointed so far with the position their attack has taken up, because just 2 points, I think, from play so far out of the 4 points they've scored. The Offaly backs so very dominant indeed. And Brendan Kelly appears to be concussed. I wonder whether they will take the option of replacing him. Been helped here by Declan Pilkington as well. And Offaly considering a change, with Brendan Kelly being forced out of the match. Clearly quite concussed. There will be Brian Hennessy who's coming on. Eamon Cregan then just issuing the instructions. Play continues with this sideline ball, and Pete Finnerty from Mulla will be the taker. Nicely up towards Kelly. Martin Hanemy back there battling, getting support from Daithí Regan. Offaly grouping well as a team, So often in the past they've made life very difficult for Galway teams, in particular in those two All-Ireland finals, 1981 and 1988. This the incident here which appears to have concussed Kelly. Just run into a flying elbow. And the player who's come on, I think, may well be Pat O'Connor of Coolderry. Eamon Cregan wants a bit more urgency. Meanwhile, again Finnerty dropping it in well. Hubert Rigney with Martin Hannamy, defiant as ever, towards Billy Dooley. Tom Helibert drops it down. Jerry McInerney can't collect it. John Troy continuing to make life rather difficult. Johnny Dooley now outside the 45-metre line. Christy Helibert was winning the race initially. This is Pat O'Connor, first taste of the action towards Declan Pilkington. Couldn't quite get enough room to swing his stick because Paul Cooney was really breathing down his neck. So confirmation that it's Pat O'Connor of Coolderry who's come on. Dáithí Regan again. Corey Kelly getting the assistance here from Jerry McInerney. Joe Cooney just ahead of him. The delivery from Joe Cooney in towards Joe Rabbit. Breaks it down towards Brian Wheelahan. Kevin Kinahan can't quite take it up. Instead it's Justin Campbell. Again trying to locate, this time Liam Burke. A great defending by Shane McGuckian. This time Johnny Dooley, the player who's indicted. Free to Galway. Not everybody in harmony, you'll gather, in Croke Park with that decision, but he is taken very quickly. Joe Cooney towards Nigel Shaughnessy, now of course playing in midfield. Right across towards Michael McGrath, has taken up a new position, seems to be playing now at right half forward. Peter Kelly, powerless to stop Martin Hannamy. Down nicely towards Billy Dooley, skipping away from the would-be challenge, putting in the shot and putting it over the bar. A very good score indeed by Billy Dooley, the third member of the Dooley clan to score. Martin Hanamy's long clearance out of defence reached Billy Dooley from a huge distance out in an acute angle. He made the most of it. Great score. So now just a minute to go to half-time. And after a less than certain start, Offaly have certainly come to terms with the Galway challenge. Offaly creating 17 chances so far, taking 8 of them against just 7 chances set up by Galway, and they've taken 4. Quite a telling statistic. Johnny Pilkington wondering where the ball has gone. He gets it back to Johnny Dooley. Johnny Dooley, yes, way in towards Billy Dooley. This time stopped by Tom Helibert. Jerry McInerney, chance to make his clearance across to that right wing. Never really gave Peter Kelly much of a chance. Look at the Galway panel today, with players like Pat Malone and Joe McGrath and even Micheál Donoghue and Francis Ford possibly to come in yet. I'm sure they're considering their options with half-time approaching. One-handed away that time by Pádraig Kelly, not quite his dominant self in this championship match so far. Jerry McInerney down towards Peter Kelly's corner. But if Martin Hannamy isn't getting it, well, it's Kevin Kinahan. Now Michael McGrath inside towards Peter Kelly, keeping it away towards Justin Campbell. Half a chance here for Galway, and Martin Hannamy back there doing well to Johnny Pilkington towards Johnny Dooley, 65 metres out, cross towards older brother Joe, beaten by Pete Finnerty. Finnerty who burst on the scene here against Cork in this fixture back in 1985. Stalemate, kicked in by Justin Campbell. Very important intervention by Shane McGuckian because there was a Galway player loose inside. Dáithí Regan. Long clearance once again. And this time it's the falling Tom Helibert going backwards who made the intervention. Here comes Pat O'Connor, bearing down on goal. Chance of a score here, and Vailga, the substitute, enjoying himself, having taken over at full forward for the injured Brendan Kelly, and 7 points the margin. This was a lovely little move inside here. Kelly wormed his way through, shortened the grip on the hurley, and took his chance. And that's the final piece of action of a half that took a long, long time to get going. But Offaly have been the better team as the half progressed. John Troy got the all-important goal that really set up this team in the 27th minute. And as they retire at half-time, with John Troy having played his part, it's Offaly who lead at half-time by 1-8 to 4 points.
Yes, 1-8 to 4 points. It may not be quite the dominance that Limerick had over Antrim in the first semi-final, but nonetheless it's been all Offaly in this second semi. Offaly and Limerick for the All-Ireland final. It's very much looking that way. There's 35 minutes still to decide it, though. We'll have more after the commercial break.
Lucozade information for experienced marathon runners. Lucozade Sport is isotonic. Isotonic drinks are absorbed into the body quickly. Tests on experienced marathon runners have shown that taking an isotonic drink regularly during prolonged exercise actually improves their performance.
Good morning, Ireland, hey, how are you?
Dublin to Waterford, day return from as little as £11. Easy on Intercity.
Mr. Soft, won't you tell me why the world in which you're living is so strange? Oh, Mr. Soft, how come everything around you is so soft and rearranged?
Bite through the shell of a Trebor soft mint and everything turns chewy and soft. They're crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
Kellogg's Fruit and Fiber's delicious combination of fruit, nuts and flakes means you never know what's going to come next. For instance, 1 minute it's... and the next it might be... See what I mean? Absolutely delicious.
Kellogg's Fruit and Fiber. Every mouthful is a new experience.
I really didn't want my husband to colour his grey hair.
But then I discovered this. The hair colouring called Just for Men.
And now he looks better than ever.
Apply and in 5 minutes rinse. 8 out of 10 wives prefer the natural Just for Men look to grey hair.
It's like you took off 10 years.
With Just for Men.
And now for the hard-to-colour hair of moustaches and beards, new Just for Men Colour Gel. Brush in, rinse out. Just 5 minutes.
Shell's always been great for miles per gallon. But watch. 2 Peugeots, one filled with Shell, the other with new improved Shell Advanced. Carbon deposits can cut fuel economy. But used regularly, Shell's new patent detergent is even better at cleaning carbon. Here's where even Shell runs out. But new improved Shell goes on and on. New Shell goes miles further.
From Gillette comes an aftershave that actually conditions your skin. Gillette Series Aftershave Gel. It moisturizes to help prevent dryness and promote smoothness for incredible comfort. Gillette Series Aftershave Gel, one of the high-performance products in the Gillette series.
Bovaclox DC Extra, the new long-acting dry cow therapy from Norbrook, giving up to 70 days protection against mastitis. Bovaclox DC Extra from Norbrook.
For lunch or dinner or a late night snack, you can have a feast at Supermax. Burgers, pizza, chicken or fish, all day long, whatever you wish. It's a family place, but you can go in alone like a home from home. It's Island of try it once, you'll keep on coming back for the super value, super meals at Supermax.
Half-time then in the second of the All-Ireland semi-finals between Offaly and Galway. Offaly leading 1-8 to 4 points at half-time as the RTE boys band entertain the crowd once again here at the break. Joining me on the panel today has been DJ Carey and Babs Keating. DJ, you know these Offaly players very well, having played them in the Leinster Championship several times, and indeed they're not letting Leinster Hurling down today.
No, that's for sure, Michael. I said before the game that they played well against us. We weren't sure would they repeat that, but they did against Wexford, and they're certainly doing it so far today. I mean, their backs are playing out their skin again today. Galway have had a number of chances, and the Offaly backs have cleared them. They've taken most of their chances up front, so they look very impressive so far anyway.
Let's take a look at the Offaly goal, because this was beautifully taken by John Troy when he got the opportunity. Maybe a dodgy free for Brian Wheelhan, but they got it nonetheless.
Yeah, that's true, and it was a great free. It was lobbed in. Michael Coleman, I think, went up for it there, and John Troy lashed on. That's a brilliant strike off the ground. You know, it's a classic strike. He was running onto the ball, and he got the rightly under it and struck it very well, and you won't get a better goal in the game than that.
Here's the view from the goal angle, and as you can see, Richie Burke had very little chance, although made the best of attempts to get a stick to it.
Yeah, he wasn't too far away, but still it was a very good strike off the ground.
Babs, we can only praise the way Offaly have been playing all around the field, and the defence have been tight, good at midfield, taking their scores, but Galway must be disappointed with the way they're going at the same time.
You have to be disappointed with Galway, Michael. Now, we knew at the start that the Offaly backs are probably the best in the game. I sympathise with TJ's experience over the last couple of years, because those backs give no opportunity. They're the kind of backline that you'd love to be associated with. Dahi Regan has bridged the gap very well in the middle of the field, and they were lucky enough then they got handy points, and the goal kind of put daylight between themselves and Galway today. Where Galway are going to find a way back, they're certainly not going to find it with the formation they have in the first half. I can certainly see a few changes, whether Malone is good enough to come on, or whether Joe McGrath might be introduced as centre forward, and Joe Coney in the corner, and I hope that they might poach a goal at some stage.
Right, Babs, well, at the moment down on the field, the young people from the national schools all over the country are giving an exhibition of the regular mini skills that are part and parcel of a big day here in All-Ireland semi-finals and finals. Also down on the pitch at the moment is Marty Morrissey, who may have some news for us.
Well, just to tell you, Michael, that Brendan Kelly, when he did get injured that time, Dr. Brendan Lee, the Offaly team doctor, a general practitioner in Kilcormac, he rushed to him, and he found that Brendan was actually unconscious on the field. But slowly but surely he came through. He's now inside in the dressing room, still suffering from concussion, and according to the doctor, Brendan Kelly is at this moment going to be brought to the Mater Hospital for further checkup. But he seems to be okay, just in case his family are listening. Brendan Kelly is okay. I spoke to him myself, and he will be fine. In both dressing rooms there seems to be tremendous anxiety. Definitely the Offaly dressing room is the happier. Jarlath Cloonan was very worried going into the Galway dressing room, saying that we aren't playing that well at the moment, but he hopes for a better second half. Back to you, Michael.
Right, Marty, well, I think that they're not playing that well is an understatement from Jarlath. I'm sure he's trying to sort things out there in the Galway dressing room at half-time. Good to hear that Brendan Kelly is okay, that hospitalisation is no more than the usual formality. TJ, here come Galway for the second half. Do you see any chance of Galway pulling this one out of the farm?
Well, Michael, there's 7 points in it now. 7 points sounds a lot, but it's not a great lot in hurling, so it only takes a couple of pucks of the ball. But they'll certainly have to improve an awful lot. The full back line gave away a few frees. The half back line is not going great at the moment. Offaly are certainly on top of midfield and on top of the back, so they'll have to just improve a little bit on them.
Babs, we speculated that Pat Malone might come into this game, and indeed there he is, number 17, Galway's regular midfielder down through the years. Didn't start because of an injury. Obviously Galway feel they need him now.
Well, they need Pat, and they need him playing well. He certainly wouldn't want to be injured playing against the competition that's out there from Offaly. Apart from that, like, it's the Galway forward line that's leaving him down. There's nothing happening like for Joe Coney and Joe Rabbit and young Kelly in the corner, and the Hopper is the only one that's kind of making his way for a few scores at the moment.
Pat should be okay for this one, Babs, because he was almost right to start. They just didn't want to chance him, but they felt if he had another week he would have been absolutely right. But I think they're still going to get a good 35 minutes from him.
Well, I suppose we know we're speaking to a Galway man, so Michael, for your sake, I hope he does.
Well, one cannot take away from the fact, though, that DJ Carey, that Offaly, from their performance in the first 35 minutes, they deserve to be in this All-Ireland final with Limerick, and it would be very surprising at this stage if they're not.
Yeah, that's true, Michael. They played very well in the first half, from goal right up to the corner forward. They've taken their chances, they've stopped it at the back. So without doubt, they really deserve where they are at the moment.
OK, let's see if Offaly can keep it going then for another 35 minutes as we go back to our match commentator, Ger Canning.
Well, have you seen Galway making that one change for the second half? And Pat Malone has come in. Normally he would go into midfield, and we're just waiting to see whether in fact that's going to be the case today or not. And I've noticed that there are quite a number of positional switches. Pádraig Kelly, for instance, is now playing top of the right. Joe Cooney is full forward. Liam Burke top of the left. The half forward line at the moment reads McGrath, Rabbit and Campbell. Pat Malone has gone into midfield to reform that partnership that has been so successful over the years with Michael Coleman. Don't think Offaly have made any changes, didn't need to do so. So a partnership now that has gone back quite a while, back to about 1989 I think, when Malone and Coleman played together at midfield in the championship for the first time. So just 7 points between the teams and a lot to play for. Brian Whelan closed down here by Justin Campbell. Lobbed in. Jim Troy having some work to do. Kevin Martin, again one of the newcomers this year, towards Daithí Regan. Typical clash at midfield. Malone straight into the thick of the action. Partly blocked that time. Runs on from McGrath. Michael McGrath inside towards Joe Cooney, now playing on the fringe of the square. Kevin Kinahan lost the stick. Brian Whelan there against Justin Campbell. Peter Kelly, by the way, is the player who's gone off. Campbell inside there towards Joe Cooney, trying to steal a march on the others. Cooney still bearing in there. In the end, it's Martin Hanamy getting the assistance here of Hubert Rigney. Long relieving clearance down towards John Troy. Michael Coleman now for a Galway side trailing by 1-8 to 4 points. Some great skill here. Good shoulder. And the referee says it's not a good shoulder. There was a lovely bit of skill just before that. Christy Helibert, the player, going back there. So Offaly get the free in. Johnny Dooley will be the taker. This the earlier piece of action here. Michael Coleman brilliantly blocked down there by Joe Dooley. All about timing. Johnny Dooley, 5 points from the first half. And now another at the start of the second. So looking good then for the faithful county, but so early in the day. Jim Troy, the netminder, looking on. Kevin Martin came across smartly, hooked by Joe Rabbit. Rabbit wins it back. Possession vital for Galway now. That's a lovely tip away there. Nicely done. Back again towards Pat Malone. And everybody trying to win possession, in particular Pádraig Kelly here against Martin Hanamy. Just watch this once again here as we watch the Offaly players in pursuit of Joe Rabbit, and it was midfielder Johnny Pilkington who tipped it away. Daithí Regan shaping up for a contest here with Michael Coleman. Won it well to Pádraig Kelly. Martin Hanamy had his brother Peter to mark in the first half without the stick. Hanamy getting the clearance in. Coleman back in again towards Hopper McGrath. Kevin Martin leading it inside towards Joe Cooney, needing assistance. Hopper McGrath, who came on as a sub for his first championship taste of the action some 9 years ago against Cork. Hubert Rigney, long ball inside towards Pat O'Connor, runs on but beats them all. Joe Rabbit has it. Struggling to get by, held there by Hubert Rigney, and Johnny Pilkington was there as well. So free to Galway. Liam Burke, the taker, in front of an attendance of 45,053 people. Making the score, his third point, all of them coming from frees. Galway still with just 2 points from play out of that tally of 5. A disappointing return so far. And the Galway fans up on Hill 16, hoping to get right behind their team now. I see them back into another decider. It's Joe Rabbit in towards Joe Cooney, trying to open up the play and trying to open up this Offaly backline in particular, outside the 45-metre line. Not quite where Joe Cooney wanted it, but it reaches Liam Burke, dispossessed well. This is wonderful skill here with Brian Wheelahan. Christy Halliburtt. Halliburtt, very strong, difficult to dispossess. One of the best running efforts there of Michael Coleman. That's gone out of play. He started the year very prominently for Galway in League and Railway Cup. Fired in well. Michael Coleman lets it run down. Tom Halliburtt here, pursued by Pat O'Connor the whole time. Just nurses it away into midfield. Pat Malone. Looking to lift the tempo of Galway's game around midfield. That bounced away from Joe Cooney. Back there to Shane McGuckian. Cooney closing in on him. Taken down then, that'll be a free in. McGuckian here, one of 3 St. Rynagh's players from Banagher, playing in today's defence. Ironically, at club level against Sarsfields, they went under in the All-Ireland Club semi-final earlier this year. Liam Burke. The angle was tight. He made light of it, however, to put over his 4th point out of Galway's tally of 6, and 6 between them. Galway fans now roaring their encouragement, believing it's possible. They may not be playing all that well, but they're still very firmly in the hunt. Only 6 minutes into the second half. Joe Rabbit rising high for that. Daithí Regan. John Troy. Nicely inside towards Pat O'Connor. Trying to round Paul Cooney. O'Connor, jersey tugged inside there, and that's a penalty. Paul Cooney fouling his man. The man being Pat O'Connor, the first half substitute. The referee blowing for this incident here after Pat O'Connor really used some fine speed and skill, but there was clearly a foul in there. So just 3 on the goal line, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Offaly mentors across there have been instructing Johnny Dooley here to go for a point at this stage. Certainly Andy Gallagher was on the edge of the ground there, signalling that he might go for a point. So what will the player do? He's taken the instruction. Offaly's 7th point for Johnny Dooley. It's 110 to 6 points. We're watching at the other end. Joe Rabbit letting it outside there to Pádraig Kelly, surrounded by Offaly men. And then getting some support, and the referee says, hold it there and we'll throw the ball in. Martin Hannamy, the last player who was trying to get himself off the ground here. Playing in his 16th championship match and receiving a blow to the face as well. 27-year-old who first, 28 rather, first played in the championship in 1987. Kilkenny won the Leinster that year, but lost the All-Ireland to Galway. And Martin, former All-Star. This the action here again. Pádraig Kelly was closing in on him. Just a clash of heads, I think, there. That was the incident. Joe McGrath there may well be coming in for Galway very shortly. With the Galway seniors last year, and also of course with the under-21s. And Brendan Lee, the medical officer of the Offaly team, just making sure that the number 4 is okay. And Eamon Cregan there as well. Eamon has been very impressed with the spirit and determination of the Offaly players over the last couple of years. And luck wasn't always on their side. But now 9 minutes into the second half, they have a 7-point lead. Joe Rabbit cross towards Corey Kelly, beating the block. Brian Wheelahan shortening the grip on the stick, lengthy delivery down towards John Troy, right into the corner there. Christy Helibert playing well in the Galway defence right from the outset. He's been closing down Declan Pilkington and Billy Dooley as well when he was on him. Shane McGuckin getting the assistance there from Brian Wheelahan. Stopped by Jerry McInerney to Pat Malone. Sent to the Offaly player, out of my way you get, in towards Michael Coleman. The intention was to play it back to Malone instead. It's Offaly who take it clear. Billy Dooley stopped, however, by Tom Helibert. Paul Cooney. Kevin Martin now to make some headway. Instead it's Michael Coleman. Long hand pass, but not quite long enough to get by Johnny Pilkington. Justin Campbell did well, however. And that'll be an Offaly ball. Justin made his championship debut against Carlow, then the All-Ireland B champions in 1992. So Brian Wheelahan, with Galway considering a substitution, possibly bringing in Joe McGrath very shortly. Liam Burke. Again, the angle quite tight, but this time just getting the better of him. And as we watch Liam Burke, I can tell you that Joe McGrath is out on the field. So some further switches and changes. Joe McGrath has definitely come on, and the player who appears to be going off is Corey Kelly. Such are the slings and arrows and so on of sport. Very much the hero last year, and this year replaced just 11 minutes into the second half. Stalemate broken over there with Johnny Dooley trying to converge on goal. Stopped by Michael Coleman, trying to get something going for Galway. Joe Cooney, if ever they needed his leadership, today is the day. And this is Joe McGrath, head down, typical fashion, stopped by Jim Troy, almost going back to the forward. Troy doing well, attempting now to get away from the would-be hook, needing support from the fullback Kevin Kinahan. These Offaly backs are decidedly mean, giving nothing away lightly. That's inside towards Justin Campbell, fed back here towards Joe McGrath. Second chance of a score, this time he gets his point. Already making his presence felt. 6 between them. Joe was a little out of luck earlier on when Jim Troy made the stop. This time got away from the would-be block, took his score. Pete Finnerty. Joe Dooley trying to make some headway towards brother Billy. On to John Troy. The Troys and the Dooleys. What a miss. And just the second wide of the second half. That misjudgment there by John Troy. So it's 11 wides now for Offaly, and for Galway, 5. Brian Wheelahan touching it down. Getting assistance from Johnny Pilkington, playing a very steady game at midfield. Pete Finnerty now. Towards Joe Rabbit. Hurley there from Hubert Rigney. Hubert once again, centre half back. Shorting the grip of the stick. Not such a good pass. Which is Donald Regan nonetheless. And away from Michael Coleman he goes. Pete Finnerty the next to put in a challenge. Then Nigel Shaughnessy. Out by Jerry McInerney to Pat Malone, down towards Liam Burke. venom behind that one. Jim Troy waiting for it. Finally, it does make its way out over the end line. He'd be disappointed with that because there's certainly a real promise of a score there. Joe Dooley has switched into midfield on Michael Coleman. Dáithí Regan now playing left half forward on Pete Finnerty. And while it's the happily recovered Joe Rabbit, took a knock, but a strong fellow he is. Pat Malone just doing well. There's Johnny Pilkington there. But again, it's Joe Cooney outside nicely. And Malone coming forward. Malone gets his first point since his introduction at half-time, and now Offaly's lead is down to 5 points. And the Galway fans will still believe it's possible. The decision by Johnny Dooley to go for a point rather than a goal from the penalty, and they might well have had a much wider gap to come back from Galway, but now they'll feel with this point by Pat Malone that they're still there firmly in the hunt. Joe Dooley to Dáithí Regan. And they switched positions just a few minutes ago. Pat O'Connor here against Paul Cooney. Past Pete Finnerty. Joe Dooley trying to link up with a colleague. 2 players there. One of them is Kevin Martin. Joe Rabbit in very smartly with the block. Quarter of an hour into the second half. Galway somehow doggedly trying to get on top. That's deflected away there by Brian Whelan, who went back to recover well. Facing his own end line. Good clearance away towards Johnny Dooley's side. Pat Malone forward into the corner. And again it's Brian Whelan winning the race there with Justin Campbell. So will it be an Offaly Limerick All-Ireland final or a Galway Limerick final? That to be determined over the next 20 minutes or thereabouts. Richie Burke. Huge clearance. Kevin Martin touching it down with a waiting stick there, the stick from Joe McGrath. Jackson they call him. Onto his brother Hopper. Against Kevin Martin. Hopper hand passing. Oh, Joe Cooney was in there. Appeals for a penalty. Referee says, good challenge. Blocked down again. Kevin Kinhan getting it away to Hubert Rigney. Rigney left side. Offaly living just dangerously there for a moment or two. On towards John Troy. Troy turning around. Finnerty's on his knees. Ball delivered deep inside towards O'Connor. A broken ball picked up by Tom Hillibert on his left-hand side, whooped away towards midfield. Johnny Pilkington, the tempo of the game lifting up even more. We could yet be in for a grandstand finish here. Just a few minutes ago there, Galway very nearly in for a possible score. And this is where Upper McGrath hand passed across for Joe Cooney to come in onto, and there was the challenge. The referee says it was perfectly fair. Johnny Pilkington. This time low on the ground for Nigel Shaughnessy to get in there. Johnny Dooley outside to John Troy. A hand passing here being used by Offaly to try and set up a scoring chance. In the end, wide of the target by Declan Pilkington. Has yet to score in this match. Only one of the Offaly forwards has failed to register a score. Brian Whelan lets that one run on. And towards the inside forwards, Martin Hannamy coming to his side's rescue. Hubert Rigney. And towards the centre forward, John Troy, who's been very effective in limited possession. Nigel Shaughnessy back in his best position around left half back. Joe McGrath trying to forage, likewise the other Joe Rabbit. And a high elbow caught him there. And the referee there just quite unhappy, I think, at that elbow there. Went unpenalised. This was Joe Rabbit coming along in here, and that's where the elbow was caught from Kevin Martin. And that's put over the bar. So yet another point by Liam Burke, his 5th pointed free. Michael Duignan, at the first hint of a crisis, is in for Offaly. You can see who's making his way off. Daithí Regan now racing across towards the far side with 4 between them. Regan is the player who has been replaced. Joe Dooley. Broken down inside here toward Tom Helibert. John Troy trying to come onto again. This time they close him down very smartly. Had to, as he's so dangerous. And the Galway backs. Their backs really very firmly to the wall. That time Paul Cooney dispossessed by his substitute Pat O'Connor. So Pete Finnerty, not for the first time this afternoon, shaping up to this sideline cut. Just about got it to a colleague, Michael Coleman. Towards Joe McGrath and Justin Campbell. It's Campbell who has it, showing his speed, trying to race away from Whelan. The hand pass inside, but only as far as Shane McGuckin of Offaly. One back here with Justin Campbell and Liam Burke. It's Liam Burke who has it, firing in the shot. Up to the right and wide. He's had a couple of chances. This is where the raiding Justin Campbell really showed a clean pair of heels there to Brian Wheelahan and also to Kevin Martin. Then when he enterprisingly hand passed it across, instead of going for a point, it's Shane McGuckin who made a secure fetch. Appears to be Michael Conneely there from the St. Ryna's club, who is being prepared across there. Well, an interesting fact so far from the scoreable freeze, none has been missed, but this is quite a fair distance out here for Johnny Dooley. Can he find the range? Well, he finds the goalkeeper's left hand. Richie Burke, good clearance. Offaly 110, Galway 9 points. About 14 minutes left. Martin Hannamy, quite a dogged struggle as it's been throughout. Pete Finnerty towards Johnny Pilkington. And towards Billy Dooley. Dooley playing top of the left, locating Pat O'Connor. Good hand pass back to Dooley. This is great skill. Billy Dooley bearing in, and he's scored. 2-10 to 9 points. Billy Dooley going in there. 22 minutes now into the second half. Lovely skill involved here. And watch for the final piece of action here as Billy Dooley was going in. Just shortening the stick and away to the far corner. From another angle, it's worth looking at this once again. Pat O'Connor, how invaluable he's been to the team, and look at the pace of all these forwards in this match, but in particular Billy Dooley here. Tighten the grip on the stick and into the corner. And then unfortunately Billy Dooley went down and received an injury, a back injury it seems, from here. A goal and a point for Billy Dooley, quite a contribution. 7 points so far for his brother Johnny, a point for another brother Joe. John Troy, of course, getting the first half goal after 27 minutes. So with Offaly now leading by 2-10 to 9 points, are they on their way for a showdown in the All-Ireland final? This was a great run in here by Billy Dooley, who ran into the goalkeeper. Very effective challenge by Richie Burke. No foul, none intended, I'm sure. Just ran into him, his momentum carried him on. And thankfully he's back on his feet, able to play on. There's a big, huge cheer. And now the Offaly following, wondering whether or not Billy and the others will be here against Limerick. 12 minutes to go now. And they're celebrating already against a Galway side that might be premature. And that's a point by Joe Cooney. Joe's first contribution from the scoring stakes. 2 goals separating the teams. and Galway now making a change. Jim Troy watching that, seeing that Dermot Fahy has come in. And Pete Finnerty appears to be the player they're replacing. So a change then for Galway. Dermot Fahy in place of Pete Finnerty. He's taken Finnerty's position at right half back. Joe McGrath breaking that one down, but only as far as an Offaly player. Michael Dignam. This looks a bit better. Again drops into the arms of Richie Burke from Declan Pilkington. So the vital last 10 minutes of this game now. Hopper McGrath. Not quite getting the range. It's the 8th wide for Galway and the 5th in the second half. And play just been held up for a minute now because Michael Keneally has come in. Michael Keneally from St. Rynagh's in Banagher. And Declan Pilkington, I think, is the player who's going off. So Eamon Cregan giving the pat on the back there to Declan Pilkington, who played his heart out. Now a tactical switch here. Galway there in great numbers. Michael Coleman. It's Kevin Martin again running into a challenge here, this time from Joe Rabbit. Michael Keneally in there, the fresh player, the number 18. On towards Joe Dooley. Throws down by Dermot Fahy, needing Nigel Shaughnessy there to help him out. John Troy. Space really at a premium. A fully committed battle by two teams. Play never really opened up to any great extent, but for all that we've had some memorable scores. Michael Coleman against the other Michael Keneally. Nigel Shaughnessy and Michael Coleman really fired up for the battle, kicking that one forward towards Justin Campbell. John Troy finally opening it up. Down it goes nicely. And that's just gone wide. They're off the stick of Michael Dignam. Hurler, cum footballer. Very experienced player. Hubert Rigney. Pat Malone trying to set something up for Galway. It's not been their afternoon. Michael Dignam was wondering where that was going. It was going into the hands of Christy Halliburtt. Long ball. Joe Cooney in there raiding. Jim Troy. Cooney! Goal! Just what Galway's needed. Joe Cooney gets a vital goal with still about 8 minutes to go. Though not playing well, Galway are still firmly there. And it's anybody's game. Just winning the race there with Jim Troy. And gleefully accepting the chance. Well, Christy Halliburtt, the one who set it up for him. That long clearance out of defence. What a match he's played. Likewise, Michael Coleman, one of the stars for Galway. It's there for the taking now at this stage. Coleman trying to get away from Michael Keneally. In towards Liam Burke, batted down here by Brian Wheelahan. Joe Cooney once again. Shane McGuckin now trying to take it away here. Onto that left-hand side, towards Johnny Dooley. Hasn't seen much of the action from play in the second half. Ball comes nicely across here for Joe McGrath. And Jackson, as is known, making a bit of ground. Justin Campbell, we know how fast he can be. Needing assistance, Joe Rabbit. Very little space. Johnny Dooley back there around the half-back line to assist his defence. Michael Dignam breaking it down for John Troy to come onto it. Still Troy. Great pick up from Troy that time, just after he'd lost it momentarily. Back to Michael Dignam. Bigs the attempted block. The shot and the point. It's a great score. Michael Dignam's first point and 4 between them. Well, Johnny Dooley with that long ball out of defence. Jim Troy seemed to lose it initially. John Troy rather, then he regained it. There, look, a lovely pick up back towards the man who's scoring it. Great point. Michael Coleman, just when there were 3 between them, needs to plug the gap once again. Kevin Martin, and Martin Hannamy rather. Hannamy on this left-hand side. Joe Dooley, cool head in a crisis. Down into space, Christy Helibert can't take it. Instead it's Paul Cooney with Pat O'Connor in possession. Held on to it. And now it's got to be a free out. What could I do, he's arguing. 6 minutes to go. 1:10 for Galway, but 2:11 for Offaly. This is where Christy Helibert was watching that one the whole time. The pick up there by the substitute Pat O'Connor, but he held on too long against some strong challenges. It'll be Christy Helibert from Ballinderreen who'll take this one. Another player who's played his heart out. Towards Joe Rabbit, getting it into the hands, going forward with some purpose, free in. Willie Barrett, the referee from Tipperary. Liam Burke will be the taker. This was a great catch. Possession was so vital here. Look at the player on him, Martin Hannamy, so difficult to dispossess or to win a ball from. So Liam Burke on the 20-metre line. Will he go for the point? He's taken it short to Cooney, blocked down brilliantly. Oh, it was Johnny Pilkington who came in that time. Some really quick thinking there between Liam Burke and Joe Cooney. The marking was just slack momentarily, and then in came Pilkington. Great recovery save. Watch it again. Cheeky won this. Into Joe Cooney, and there was Johnny Pilkington. Liam Burke cutting it across. Shane McGoughlin. Well, they really needed it across in front of goal that time. Maybe it'll come here from the hopper. Not quite finding the range. A 9th wide for Galway. There have been 13 wides for Offaly. Their flags flying defiantly and proudly with just over 4 minutes to go. And there are only 4 points separating the teams. Now at this crucial stage in the game. Offaly trying to hold on. Galway with Joe Rabbit trying to come more and more into the game. Joe McGrath against Kevin Martin. That one into space there for Liam Burke to come across to. Taking it well, Justin Campbell calling for it on this near side. It reaches Joe Cooney instead. Cooney, the goal scorer just a few minutes ago. The hand pass into space, hopefully! Oh, it's gone agonisingly. Outside and wide. It was so close. Justin Campbell was within inches. He's looking at the watch. He can't believe it. This was another very enterprising ball here. Hit there by Justin Campbell, just outside. So there might have been a few steps taken as well just before that. Michael Keneally for Offaly. Joe McGrath for Galway. Cross again towards Justin Campbell. Just 2 men to aim it inside. Joe Cooney and Liam Burke against very tough marking Offaly backs usually. Liam Burke strikes it. Jim Troy saves. Cleared away, needing the assistance here of Kevin Kinahan. Offaly living very dangerously. You can never beat a Galway side easily in any match, semi-final or final. Out to Pat Malone. And they've really spurned so many good chances in the second half. Their outside shooting hasn't been of the highest order. This was another good chance here. Liam Burke not putting any great authority behind it. Jim Troy making the save. I make it 2 minutes plus injury time to go. Jim Troy, of course, played against Galway in the 1985 All-Ireland final. Is he now going to face up to Limerick in 4 weeks' time? Kevin Martin nursing it away. And there was a push there. And the line's gone down here. Ger Harrington spotted Dermot Fahy, I think, pushing John Troy. Claims here that it should in fact be a free the other way. It's going to be a sideline ball. The referee didn't take any action. John Troy, the player who was pushed. Michael Coleman fluffing it somewhat, getting the assist to work from Pat Malone. And Joe Dooley doing so well, closing him down, wasting a few precious seconds. And that goal by Billy Dooley was so important in the second half, in the 22nd minute of the second half. This time it's going to be a free down. Johnny Dooley with 7 points in the match, one I think from play, but almost faultless, in fact very much faultless from frees. I think just one dropped short, and that was from some distance out. Brian Wheelahan down towards Michael Dignan. Joe Dooley trying to finish now in some style. Joe Dooley getting a second point at a lovely time in the match from an Offaly point of view, trying to finish off the opposition. A move started up by Brian Wheelahan, and now 5 points between the teams, 212 to 110. Well, 3 points is as near as Galway managed to get after that goal there by Joe Cooney, and then Offaly came back very smartly to fire over a couple of points, and with players like Martin Hannamy, the captain of the team, playing their heart out. Good intelligent ball as well, down to Michael Dignan. No marking, that should have been, but wasn't. Offaly now facing into another All-Ireland final, and the first meeting with Limerick in the decider. And that, it would seem, as we're now virtually into injury time. Jerry McInerney. Joe Dooley again trying to stop the advancing back there, who was Tom Hillibert. Stalemate. That'll do awfully quite nicely. Billy Dooley with a neat pick-up into space, nobody there except the goalkeeper coming racing out. And now it's all very much at the discretion of the referee and how much time he's prepared to add on. With 5 points between them, Offaly look to be on their way. Michael Dignan taking it down here, with Joe Rabbit having recovered from injury off camera, I can tell you. And Joe Dooley just to the left. The Offaly crowd, I think, felt that one had gone over. It clearly tailed. The amateur whistlers here now at Croke Park, just encouraging referee Willie Barrett to signal the end of this match. But Joe Rabbit happily recovered from injury, advancing. Liam Burke missed it, and Troy comes out, closed down by Joe Cooney, getting the assistance of his backs in there. Perilous situation, but with 5 between them, Offaly can breathe a nice mighty sigh of relief, and it's gone wide. Liam Burke with a quizzical expression on his face. Well, without playing well today, Galway had chances to be much nearer. Offaly had been the better team all through, I think. And that's as near as Galway came to getting another goal. Joe McGrath just leaving it behind to Kevin Martin. Kevin Martin trying his luck. He's certainly impressed this season in the championship, and that's his first point of the match. The Offaly faces will be easy to pick out. They're the ones with joy and satisfaction written all over them, thanks to the excellence of the left half back. And it's all over! It's Offaly who go through to the All-Ireland final in 4 weeks' time. And then their team coach and trainer, Eamon Cregan, will be up against his native county of Limerick. A first ever Offaly-Limerick All-Ireland hurling final. It should be a great day. Offaly deserve to get through here. Their first goal by John Troy in the first half after 27 minutes, and another fine goal by Billy Dooley after 22 minutes of the second, really setting them up. In spite of a late goal by Joe Cooney, it wasn't quite enough, and Offaly go through to the decider. They were the better team. They deserve to go to the final, and the final score here reads Offaly the Masters by 6 points, Offaly 213, Galway 110.
So then, a unique pairing for the All-Ireland Hurling final on the first Sunday in September. It'll be Limerick versus Offaly, and what a match that promises to be. Limerick deserving winners of their first semi-final here against Antrim, winning that one quite easily in actual fact. And Offaly very much deserving winners in the second semi-final against Galway. For Galway people, consolation, their minors came through from the first match at Croke Park, beating Kilkenny in that, so they will have a representation in the All-Ireland final. Now, of course, still with me here in our presentation box is DJ Carey of Kilkenny and Babs Keating, former Tipperary manager. DJ, Offaly deserved to be in the All-Ireland final, but they cut it a bit close in the end.
They did, Michael. There was Galway got a couple of chances there, but for stout defending or panicking defending, they could have got a couple of goals. But in fairness, there was Offaly defended very well today.
One of the things, Babs, is when you bring on, I think the 6 subs came on in the second half of that match. When that happens, it changes the pattern of the game, indeed loses its pattern to some degree.
Well, from a Galway point of view, Michael, you'd have to suggest that they had a better team in the second 35 minutes, and I think that team and the positional change that they made, I think that team might have pulled them through. They played with more heart. Pat Malone made an awful difference in the middle of the field, and having Pádraig Kelly in corner forward was obviously a waste of time for a certain period, and Joe McGrath made a hell of a difference to Galway. So I think there'll be questions asked in the Tipperary man John McIntyre will be asking questions in Galway this week, and there'll be an inquest into Galway's performance, certainly in the first half. And as DJ did say, they got the opportunities to win the match too, like the ball that Justin Campbell missed, the free the short free to Joe Coney, I think it was a mistake at that stage of the game. I think the turning point for Offaly was the good goal that Billy Dooley got. He fought very hard for it. Galway were completely on top and back to within 4 points. That was the goal, like they won it for Galway, for Offaly. They were in trouble only for that score.
Well, there is the goal by Billy Dooley. He took a hell of a knock in scoring it, but I think he'd feel, Babs, it was worth it tonight.
Yeah, well, he can claim credit for Offaly's victory, because looking at Eamon Cregan running on the field, he was desperate, and Offaly were not going well. Like Pat Malone and Michael Coleman dominated the middle. Offaly took off Daithí Regan. Maybe not, or maybe it's a borderline case. So it's going to be a good final. The one man I feel sorry for is Eamon Cregan, because you can say he can lose, but I don't know, can he win either?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Just the taking off of Daithí Regan, DJ, I thought that was a little bit of a strange move from an Offaly point of view. He'd been playing very well.
Yeah, certainly in the first half he created an awful lot of chances. I thought he was playing very well. Maybe it was something tactical, maybe to waste a minute or two. I don't know. It seemed surprising from up here anyway, because he was going well. Maybe the Offaly selectors looked at it that Galway started taking over in that sector for a while, but Pat Malone certainly made a difference in there. But I'd have to say Pat O'Connor played very well in at full forward for Offaly. He broke an awful lot of ball, he set up the goal, so in a way the substitutes played their part as well in the game.
Sure. I know that hindsight is a wonderful thing. There's always 20/20 vision in hindsight, DJ. Pat Malone, when he came on for Galway, certainly shored them up around the middle of the field. Perhaps there was an argument for starting him and chancing it.
Yeah, well, I'm not a manager, or I wouldn't like to be in their shoes, or I'm not a selector. But if I was arguing against it, I'd say if a man was injured and he was expecting to play, I prefer to start him. That would be the way I look at it now. Other managers or selectors would look at it totally different to that, and Babs would probably look at it totally different to that. But if I was in that position, I'd have to say I'd prefer to start a player if he was in contention for a place. If he was good enough, if the selectors felt he was good enough to be in contention for a place, I'd certainly prefer to start him.
Right then, Babs, we have seen Limerick, we've seen Offaly, both of them come through tough championship campaigns into the All-Ireland final. From what you've seen so far, who would you pick for this one?
I'm going to go for Offaly, and it's a hard thing to oppose a team from my own province, and my feelings would be for Limerick, but I would hate to be a Leinster hurler or a Limerick hurler facing the Offaly backline. They have tremendous commitment, tremendous courage, and a lot of good hurlers. There'll be no change at all given from the Offaly backs, and I just think that Croke Park will be probably more at home to them.
Yes.
So,
all right. Okay, Babs, thank you very much for your comments. By the way, good luck to you. I know there's a special function for you down in Clonmel tonight. DJ Carey, thank you for joining us on the panel as well. With that, we must leave it then. There's, of course, European Athletics coming up at this channel in just a few moments' time. And an invite to you to join me for the Sunday game later on tonight, Network 2 at 8 o'clock, when we'll be reviewing both of today's semi-finals, also having interviews with the players, and, of course, our man of the match selections. That's 8 o'clock later on. Hope you'll join me for that.
Some years ago,